bitch, I do my dance in 99 Ranch.
So we're lucky enough, Gwen's joined us today, Women's International, Heartbreed as well.
Heartbreed, yeah.
How many caps you had now?
32.
32?
32.
Oh, Wikipedia's all wrong there.
I know. It was always wrong. It's never
or ChatGPT.
It's about 5 caps missing, so, but yeah, 32.
How's it going, all right? Good?
Yeah, not bad. Just in the middle of Six Nations at the minute. You know what it's like. It's just intense, but yeah, it's good. Really enjoying
trying to pick you up. How did you start against England on the weekend?
Yeah.
How was it being in the Principality?
Yeah, it was cool. Obviously the result wasn't great, but I think how far we've come as a team, where we're at now with the new coach, I think it was just amazing to be part of that sort of whole occasion. And I remember playing for Wales 5 years ago when there was 500 people in the crowd, and to have over 21,000 people in the crowd in the home of Welsh rugby was just pretty cool, really.
Yeah.
So
that's what I've noticed a lot of, and I speak to a lot of people of, since the contracts have come in, it's just leaped and kept going, and it's amazing to see, because I remember I was speaking to people before, girls, and we've been working in school today, and then we've got to go and train. I couldn't imagine trying to be a professional athlete and you've got to have a job alongside it. Yeah,
it was wild. When I first, when contracts first started coming in, just a little bit before that I started PTing, so I was working 10-hour days, and then driving up to Gloucester, and then doing 3-4 hours of training there, and then coming back, doing it all again, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. In hindsight, I could never do that now, and I don't understand how I did it, but I guess it was the only option, so to be able to play for your country is what you had to do, so just kind of cracked on.
Yeah, so how was it, going back to the game, how was that occasion? Because doing record crowd, I think it's special to actually be there as a spectacle. And I remember last season, Arms Park sold out, amazing, and it's nice to see that from a Cardiff player to have it sold out. Being in that Principality, I bet for you was pretty special.
Yeah, it was goosebumps kind of moment, and it's trying to take in the moment as well, because it's when you're so concentrating on your performance and on the game, I really tried to be okay, this is actually a massive occasion, so try and take it all in as much as you can, the anthems, try not to cry, all of that. You're just come on, it's fine, it's fine. I was looking back through old pictures, and 10 years ago I played in an East Wales v West Wales game in the Principality, basically empty, so parents in the stand, and then 10 years on to be playing for Wales in front of 20,000 people against England. I was just full circle.
What would that
it was under 18, something like that. Yeah.
Because I remember under 11s I played East and West. But
we had it was Scarlets and Ospreys versus Dragons and Blues basically. But it was wild.
Oh, that's amazing. But you've had a bit of a tricky path, haven't you? With God, you could probably, you might as well list all. It's too many for me to list.
Yeah, at the start of my international career, it was kind of I guess the start of my international career was delayed a little bit. I ruptured my ACL in my first warm-up game for Wales before the 2017 World Cup, and obviously that was devastating. But in hindsight, probably the best thing that could have happened to me in a career at that point, because when you're young and you have an injury, you kind of sink or swim, and so it kind of taught me a lot. I got to spend a lot of time in the gym, and then I came back from that, got my first cap 18 months later, and then kind of had a relatively smooth road from there. I got my first start, and then started 20 odd games after that. Went about 6 years without a major injury, and then after the last World Cup in 2021, or played in 2022, I broke my ankle, and that was the start of a bit of a spiral, to be honest. But
worse than me.
Broke my ankle, but it's part of the game, right? Happy days, I'll just rehab this. 4 months or so that took me.
That's long, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was all right. I was pretty positive about it. After I came out of the cast, everything was fine, and then got myself back into a position to start the Six Nations. First game against Ireland, 6 minutes in, ruptured my ACL. So that was and it was on the other leg. So that was a bit of a low point. I was on the pitch, I can't do it again. I can't go for it all again. Throughout that ACL rehab, sort of really learnt to put things in perspective, and I was professional. I could rehab my ACL as a professional athlete, whereas my previous ACL I didn't. I was a student, and so there was positives and stuff like that. So I came back from that ACL, and then about 4 or 5 games in to my return, I tore my meniscus on the other knee again. and tried to rehab it, but it was just not happy. Like, it just kept giving away. So had surgery on that, and then it's been that was about a year ago. It's been pretty rough trying to like re-find my identity as a rugby player when you've had like multiple injuries, and you kind of take for granted like not how easily it all comes, but you know, you're just in the groove of stuff, so you just play rugby, you train, whatever. But then once you've been out for so long, trying to kind of re-find that, and then re-find the love for a sport that's like hurt you that bad is actually really difficult.
I think like probably mentally more so, because I was always one, like, at the end of the day, I've done my injury, I can't really dwell on it, I just do my rehab and get back as fast. How do you find that? Because do you mean like going ACL, the ankle, ACL, and then meniscus? Do you mean it's 4 big injuries here, like big chunk of time? How do you cope with that? Is there anything you did like off the field that helped you?
I think I really struggled coming back from my ankle with like a fear of re-injury. It was like every time I was getting tipped the ball, it was as if I was like right down and present, because the way I broke my ankle was like 2 people. And before that, like I would always just carry as hard as I could, and then I had this like trigger where it was like, oh god, don't get hurt. Then obviously doing your ACL, that reinforces, oh god, you might get hurt. So I really struggled actually, and I was like an absolute wreck coming back from my ACL, because I was just anxious, like just thought I'm going to get injured, and then I obviously did again, so that was actually really difficult, and I probably let slip some of the behaviours that I was so big on before, like, you know, pushing hard in the gym. I lost like 10 kilos over the course of like those injuries, because I was like, oh well, if I'm lighter I might not get injured as much, but actually it was just like a self-protect, I don't know what it was, but it was just making excuses.
Something in the back of your mind,
and it's really hard to like put your finger on it and control it. What I was finding was like I wasn't as dominant in collisions, which then fed into like, oh, I'm going to get hurt. So it was just like a vicious cycle. But actually what's helped me in the last couple of months is like focusing more on like my stuff in the gym, putting on weight again, put on like 4 kilos, and all of a sudden you feel a bit stronger, you feel a bit more powerful, and thought of injury just goes out your head again. So it's really odd. The physical thing is in theory the hard bit, but that's actually the easy bit, because you get told what to do, and then the mental bit is like all up there, and you're the only one that's really in control of it.
That's
it's quite
the thing,
hard.
as soon as you step away outside of the 4 walls, you're on your own. So you're rehabbing, you have your injured group, and then you're kind of like left to your own devices, aren't you?
And I love the gym, and I love training, so actually being paid, even when I was rehab my ACL, everyone would be like, oh bless you, like you've second injury. I was like, I love it, I actually love being in the gym. I'm getting paid to be in the gym right now. It's actually not that bad, like it could be worse. I could have had to do this after work and stuff. I actually like it, I'm just going to throw it out there, I like it. Then I think it was difficult, because people would just see me like, oh, she's so positive, she like actually is loving like this journey and stuff, but then coming back from that, it was actually really difficult mentally to sort of, and I couldn't figure out why.
I think that like the PT side of it has helped you. I'm guessing so.
Oh yeah, 100%. And my outside of rugby now, I'm like an online performance coach for ACL rehab. So my background's in like strength conditioning and rehab and that kind of stuff. And then obviously going through it twice now, and my meniscus, like it's cool that I get to help other people do that, but it also can hinder at the same time, because I know almost too much. Like if I'm feeling something, I'm like, oh, that's like, what's that? It's like that second guessing. But it does also help, because if I can feel something, or if I'm moving in a certain way, I'm like, oh, it's probably because I need to work on X, Y, and Z, and then I can kind of build that into my programming.
So how long, doing the ACLs, because it can range, can't it? How was your path in that?
The first one was 11 months. I did my meniscus in that one as well, so that usually takes a bit longer, but I was also young, so you don't want to rush that. But then it was 9 months for my recent ACL. It felt pretty quick, to be honest. I was like you just blink and you're like, oh gosh, I'm playing again. ACL recoveries these days, like people come back in like 6.5 months.
I doubt they do that.
6 months, no. And again, mentally, I think it would be the hardest thing. Well, obviously, if I'd had Bearhug on, well, I'm sure it would have come back in 6. I think mentally more than anything, because it feels like all of a sudden you go from not being able to walk to running, and then you're playing again. It's like a really quick like transition.
So where did it, like for me, like I saw John Lomo play, and I was like from there I was hooked rugby. Where did it start for me? Because were a goalie at one point.
I was, yeah. I played football since I was like 3 or 4, played in goals until I was like 16, and about 15 I started playing rugby. One of the girls that I played football with said, oh, do you want to come along to rugby? And I love sport, so I was like, yeah, sure, like whatever. And I went, it was like an Ospreys, like a academy type thing. Went along, and honestly, like from the first session I fell in love with it. I was like tackling people, and I was like, oh, this is like football but better. Like I can hit people, this is great. And yeah, I literally then for like, I remember the whole rest of that year, I just could not wait for Monday to come back around so I could go to rugby again. And it kind of went like that from there, because I think because I was like athletic and I relatively tall, like for my age and stuff, I got picked up by like sevens, like under 18 sevens and stuff, and then kind of built my way through. But I've always loved like being in a high performance environment, like trying to push yourself to be the best. And I think because rugby kind of allowed me to be in that kind of environment, I just loved it.
Because I think it's like other people pushing you and stuff like that, and you love the gym, so it's no brainer in it. Football's a bit different, obviously a lot more plyos and stuff. But I think
it was the first time really, like when I played football, we didn't have strength and conditioning. We didn't have that. Like it was weird because I got into like the under 18s, under 17s Wales Academy with football, but we'd never had like an S&C program or anything. And then as soon as I went into this Ospreys environment, they were like, okay girls, like we've got a gym session on this day, this is what you're doing. It's the first time I started like properly lifting weights, and I was like, oh, like this is quite cool, and that really helped. I know. I don't know whether it was just because it was a long, like not that long ago, but like 10 odd years ago. So it was less, like the gym was less involved in sport then, but went in, and it really helped me then with like body image and that kind of stuff as well, to understand that like you can push yourself in the gym and get stronger, and you might gain weight, but that's a good thing for your sport.
Like performance, that's why I was always performance driven. I didn't care if I was 110 kilos. I was like, as long as I can lift.
If you're getting stronger and you're running fast on the pitch, right, then you're breaking tackles. I was always,
if I can lift more than the props, I'm happy, and that's that was the case. Maybe not in good nick, but Going back to rugby now, one thing that you found that work-ons for you was helped you develop as a player, because obviously goalkeeper, probably more ball skills and stuff, was transferred over.
Like definitely, like saying, I would say like ball skills, and like especially as a second row, having that ability to like move the ball and stuff. I think that was probably my USP. Line out aerial skills, obviously that transferred really well across from being a goalkeeper. I was used to catching ball, like getting up in the air and stuff. So line out has always been like one of my favourite parts of the game. And then I think my attention to detail as well probably has helped me get, like I've not, because I didn't play rugby until like later on, I've like wanted to learn and watch the game and like be really critical on the details of stuff. So I think that's helped me progress, because I always try and why are we doing this, like exactly how should it look like in the dream world and stuff, and then that kind of helps
asking the hard questions.
Exactly. Whereas I guess for some players it comes naturally because they've played rugby since they were 4 or 5, whereas I had to kind of really understand the game, which has now helped me, I guess, in like a tactical way as well.
So going back to Wales now, how's camp been so far?
Really good. Really good. It's like good vibes, nice environment to be part of. Obviously having a new head coach literally a week before the campaign isn't great, but I've worked with him for 5 seasons with Gloucester, which is helpful, and quite a few of us have, and obviously through that he knows a lot of us from playing in the Prem and stuff. So I think that transition has been made a little bit easier, but I think the biggest thing for us is the environment's really enviable, and that's how you get the best out of your players, and that's how players are going to grow.
That's half of it. Like if you got like when I was at Cardiff, the environment there was quality, and best years I had was when off pitch was probably the best it's been. Like transfers to on the field. And
I never thought I'd say it, but I'm looking forward to pre-season because it'll be a good environment to be in. And pre-season's really hard, but I actually love it because it's like an opportunity as a team to go through some really hard stuff, but then also enjoy the off-pitch moments that you have together. And like we get on really well as a playing group, and that's kind of an exciting place to be, especially ahead of the World Cup later this year.
How's your Bronco going?
I'm a bit up and down with the Bronco, see, because I'm like, when I get a bit heavier, the Bronco goes a bit down, but they can't complain because I'm winning collisions.
Yeah.
When I'm nice and light, I can fly through the Bronco, but I'll get nailed. So it's just like, I need to find that nice in between.
I've only ever done it once.
The Bronco, you've only ever done it once?
I used to flare up my back. So doing like the turns, I always used to say, give me an hour conditioning, I'll do that instead of a 5-minute Bronco test. And somehow I got away with it because I was always had it would flare up my back, and then as soon as my back went, my hamstring would go. So I got to thank John Miles for that. So luckily enough, I got away with it. But
no, I've done a fair few Broncos in my time.
It'll be a new test coming in soon.
Yeah, well, it was a 30-15 for ages.
That was alright.
Yeah, it was okay. It was okay because I used to just count down the levels. I'd be like, right, if I want to hit 18.5, I've got 20 runs, and then I used to just count them down and try and break it down like that. But it's things your brain do to make things easier.
I used to just close my eyes and run it, wait for the beep. Same as a Fostec. Have you ever done one of them?
No.
I was like, you've got to sprint 40 metres 10 times, but they count your drop off.
Got
so
you.
Everything.
I've done a similar, like the Watt test. Have you done that?
Yeah, I enjoyed that down up.
Oh no, that's not a bit of me.
10 reps.
Too far away from the floor. I just don't like it. Absolutely hate it.
So PTing off the pitch, what would you say to a young girl looking to get into rugby? What would be like one thing you could say to them? Because you've had a different path to everyone. Like for me, it was like rugby from the age of 6 all the way through.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, like, if it's a young girl that isn't playing rugby yet, like, just throw yourself in the deep end. Like, just go. Like, rugby is a sport for everyone. Yeah. Like, any shape, any size, any gender, it doesn't matter. Like, there's a place for you in a rugby team, and I think that's something that I really liked about rugby was like the inclusivity of it. Like, it's a game for everyone. Yeah. So just like be a bit fearless and just go and give it a go. And if you find it's enjoyable, like, just the biggest thing for me is like smile on face all the time, because that's when you learn, that's when you're doing something that you want to do. And then in terms of like in the gym, I think a lot of young girls are afraid of weights, less so now, but when I was young it was like the messaging was like, oh, you don't want to lift weights, it's going to make you big and bulky. Exactly. But biggest thing is like, if I had started strength and conditioning training earlier, I'm like, where could I be now? Because I started it so late on, and now I've seen massive gains and improvements in strength and stuff. Well, imagine if I'd started that a bit younger. So don't be afraid of it, but also have good guidance.
I think that's a lot of it, because my background was my dad at the gym, and you see some bad guidance and poor coaching and stuff like that. I think that's half of it. Like, the game's changed completely from when I was in the industry, when my family had it. I think more so now, people are so clued up with like your CrossFit, High Rocks is huge now. A lot of people doing running and stuff like that. Everyone's active. But have you got any like secrets, like any hidden things that you do, or like recovery that you swear by? Like, I was an ice bath guy. I swore by my ice bath. Is there anything like that you...
Bearhug. But seriously, like wearing like Bearhug calf compressions, like I swear by them, wear them every day after training or in between sessions. Same with the knee sleeves. Like, if my knee's a little bit, I struggle with like knee swelling pretty much after every session now. So obviously ice, game ready, that kind of thing on the knee, and then like compression with the Bearhug sleeve. I'm an ice bath girl as well. I love it. I also like the mental challenge of it. Like, you're watching everyone, oh, I just want to get out. It's like, come on, get in there. Like, it's hard, but it's good. Quite like a sauna as well. The early part of the week, they ban us for a couple of days before the game, just to, for dehydration and stuff, but like a sea dip, that kind of thing. I think anything as well, like, that takes your mind off of rugby or takes your mind off of stressful things. So like when you're in an ice bath, you can't think about anything other than how cold it is, and I like that kind of thing. Same with like going in the sauna, going in the sea, kind of just takes you away from it. You're not concentrating on any of the problems, you're just thinking, this is really hot or this is really cold.
I think that's a nice point, that is, because you need that distraction, because I've seen it firsthand where players take the work home kind of thing, and I've always, as soon as I've done my session, done my weights to the T, I'm out that door, I'm not thinking about rugby. But like a lot of people take it home. Are you one of them, or are you kind of like...
I think less now. Before all the injuries, I 100% was, because it was like my whole life, it was just consumed by like... It's one of those jobs that naturally you do take home a little bit, like everything you eat matters, everything you do on your rest day. Am I on my feet too much? All of this stuff, and that's getting pumped into you by coaches. But when I got injured, I was like, oh my God, there's more to life here. Like, there's actually so many things. I got to go out, got to go to Sevens festivals, got to go to Dubai, like all of this stuff. I'm like, why am I so concerned? It's just a game at the end of the day. Like, we all just run around 15 v 15, people are watching it. But it's not gonna, the world's not going to end. So I think that's a massive thing.
I've said this to so many youngsters. I said, it's a game of rugby. You've been doing this since you were young. You're not going to change the world. Just go out there, enjoy it.
And you can put so much pressure. Like on the weekend, we lost by 60 odd points. But we had 21,000 people. We're inspiring all these young girls.
For you, is about inspiring the next generation of players. Is a big part of that, I guess, the next group of girls coming through, because you're still young.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's probably one of my main motivating factors. And I think coming back from injury, there obviously have been times where I've been like, how much longer do I want to do this? Putting your body through the ringer, you know, it's not nice. And that when we talk about that mental side of things, that is something you consider is like, is this worth doing anymore? But a big driver for me is like showing young girls what you can achieve. And I've had so many messages from young girls, I've ruptured my ACL, thank you for showing me that you can come back and you can still play at the elite level and stuff. That's a massive driver for me, definitely, because I'm like, okay, I've got to do it for them, because they're, you know, and now because of that, it's allowed me to enjoy it, enjoy it again. And I love seeing, I've got so much time for the young fans. I think that's somewhere now where women's rugby is in a great place, because it's getting more popular, but it's not so popular that we can't give time to the fans. So on the weekend in the Principality, I was just trying to get round as far as I could, just trying to meet as many of them as I can, and just trying to have chats with them, like, do you play, what position do you play in, do you want to play for Wales, all that kind of stuff, because I think those are the connections that make women's rugby really special.
But they will remember that. They're
which is a weird thing, because I always find that weird. I'm like, why do they want to speak to me? It's a bit weird, but you sure you want a selfie with me or whatever? It's a bit weird, but I think that's the kind of role models I like to look up to when I was younger. So I kind of want to be try and be that person. Really,
Favorite cheat meal?
Probably big juicy chicken wings to start. Sorry, I'm doing
buffalo,
buffalo
no
or
cheese.
Hoisin sauce or something like that.
It?
Yeah, I love it. Anyway, probably a big buttermilk fried chicken burger or a really nice pizza, and probably chocolate fudge cake and ice cream for dessert. Really.
Favorite place you've played?
Quarterfinals at the World Cup in New Zealand against New Zealand. That was pretty cool.
Toughest opponent?
Probably New Zealand, because they are we don't play against them very often. Very high tempo offload team. England were also really hard, but we play against them more. So New Zealand,
Favorite type of music, or have you got a song currently? Favorite type of music.
I'm gonna say the most consistent is tech house.
Not flipping it.
Or house. We call it house music.
That's the CrossFit, is it?
House music, bit of drum and bass. I literally love all music.
Favorite song at the moment.
So hard. There's literally so many. Fisher's got a new one called Ocean. I don't know if you heard that. That is a banger.
Really
I love
good.
Fisher.
It's the DJ stuff. That's
good.
Favorite gym exercise?
I do a back squat.
Yeah?
I really do a back squat.
If you're on a desert island, what would you take?
An unlimited supply of food. Surely you need food. Matches. Just light a fire then. That's good.
What about lighter?
Well, I guess. Well, lighter fluid run. Oh, I don't know. It'll all run out, won't it?
Favorite Bearhug product?
Calf foods. For the win.
Abyss. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming down.